Well, Huss, we're going to bring you in, I think, when we got a shot. Rod's going to take a little longer to reconnect. It's more than just 3 plays, I guess. More than 3 plays. You've been watching this?
Dupes, what's going on? Hey, listen, I knew you're a live arm in the bullpen, ready to come in. This is kind of like, the new baseball where you've got the opener. They just come in, throw some heat for a few minutes, and then we go right to the pen. And now here you and I are coming in right now. But best of the season to you, man. It's great to be on the show.
You too, man. Good to see you. Hope all is well. We're doing some strategic planning here at the end of the year, and we're excited to get to Winnipeg in November. That's a long ways off for the Grey Cup, but starting to already put plans in place because that comes up quicker than we think.
Dude, listen, Winnipeg is going to be, it'll be a lot of fun next November. We had such a great week out, got a chance to see Rod. We were actually right beside each other out on the Radio Row in Vancouver. They did such a great job of hosting the Grey Cup. And if you know Wade Miller, they're not looking to meet the bar. They'll be looking to raise it. So I think it should be a great Grey Cup weekend here. But that's a long ways away, and we're well into the CFL offseason. And I know I just heard you. We're now into the meat of the NFL season. And man, this is interesting. I mean, a huge win for the Vikes last night. And I heard you talk about the Chiefs as well. Yeah, not quite 17. It is plus 70 on the season.
70. That's it.
But you'd think it would be considerably more for a team that is 13-1. I will give you that.
You would when you're looking at teams at the top of the list that are plus 170 in point differential. But the Chiefs always find a way. So how confident are you feeling about your group heading into the new year?
Well, listen, I mean, as long as Patrick Mahomes is the quarterback and Andy Reid is the head coach and Spags is running that defense, I'll feel pretty good on most dates. But, I mean, there's no hiding from the fact that this has been the most bizarre 13-1 run ever. The way the Chiefs have won games week after week after week, not as much last week, has been, ridiculous at times. Blocking punts, having the Raiders throw up all over themselves in the final minute of the game, the doink and in for the division against the Chargers. And that's just the last month. Never mind the start of the season with Likely and his toe on the line. But you know what? I will say this: the way that the Chiefs won their Super Bowl last year, everyone was writing them off on Christmas Day when they lost to the Raiders of all teams at home. Since Christmas Day, they've lost 1 game, and that was to the Buffalo Bills, who are a problem right now. Although the issue for the Bills is, Josh Allen is clearly the MVP, and he's putting that team on his shoulders. It's going to be tough to win a Super Bowl giving up 40 a week. So they do have some issues. I think every team does right now. But listen, this isn't the high-flying Chiefs that you'll remember of 2019 and 20 and 21. They're a very different squad right now. Hollywood Brown's coming back to practice this week, so that'll be a nice boost. They've really missed him, and especially Rashee Rice. But it's just like we've seen so much this season. In tight games when it's close, give me Patrick Mahomes with the football in his hand in the fourth quarter, and usually good things will happen. You mentioned the injury. Listen, I'm not too worried. I think if it was serious, we would have probably heard some more doom and gloom out of Kansas City right now. It would be great to see him win. If they could win this game against the Texans on Saturday, it really does give them some wiggle room, needing just one more win. Going into Pittsburgh on short rest on Christmas Day is going to be tough, although the Steelers are playing the Ravens, and you know what that rivalry is like. So both of these teams are going to be really probably running on fumes on that game. But to me right now, they just got to get the 1 seed. They got to get the bye. That'll be some extra rest while everyone else plays in week number 1. And if the AFC goes through Arrowhead, as we've seen in the past, it's a pretty hard place to win in January. And the Chiefs could be in the mix to make some history in February as the first team to ever three-peat in the NFL.
Unbelievable. And I'm with you. No matter what is happening in these games or who they're letting hang around, I never am worried that they're going to finish the job. I'm always confident that at the end of the day, they're going to finish the job. They're going to find a way, and they're not really panicking or sweating. So I'm confident about your Chiefs. Look, to Winnipeg as a whole, as we get into the end of the year, I know we're a little over a week away from Christmas now. I guess Christmas is a week tomorrow. What are you looking at in terms of looking back and the year that was in the Winnipeg sports scene?
Well, I mean, obviously it's been the Jets, especially right now being, where they are in the NHL, I believe they were first in the league going into last night's game based on points, and we wake up and they're still number one. So, I mean, the Jets story was one of exceeding expectations in a big way last year and then having an incredibly disappointing playoff series against the Avalanche. And that, I think, clouded a lot of people's thoughts about the team going in. I mean, you'll remember at the start of the year how many of the so-called experts and bigwigs had the Jets missing the playoffs. I mean, it was like everything that they'd done last year was sort of forgotten, and what people remembered was them getting steamrolled by McKinnon and the Avalanche in games 2 through 5. So the new season with a new head coach, Scott Arniel, who's been a real central figure, has been, so much fun to watch. And it kind of feels like this team is on a bit of a redemption tour, for lack of a better term. And they've been playing their butts off right now, a really good style of hockey. The man of the year for sure is Connor Hellebuck in this town. I mean, 2 Vezina trophies, the number 1 goalie again this year, very much on track for a third. He'll be leading the U.S. out for the Four Nations Cup. So Hellebuck would be our star, but overall, I mean, as a team, they really have, I think, surprised people and, proven there might be greater than the sum of its parts. As far as the Bombers go, listen, we know how good this team has been for as long as they've been, but the bad taste in the mouth still remains from Vancouver. Another loss in the big game after making it to 5 straight. I mean, if you told any Bomber fan, Darren, a few years ago, after going 29 years without winning a Grey Cup, that, hey, in a 5-year span, not only are you going to win 2, you're going to win the West 5 straight years, people would have thought you've been nuts. The fact of the matter is that when you win the first 2 and you lose the next 3, it feels like this team has sort of come up short. And, going into 2025, it's maybe the most critical year that we've seen in decades for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, in that, there's a lot of people, coaches and general manager included, that don't have contracts beyond this year. We are wondering what their plan is, what their, if this is kind of a final stand for that group, or whether it is, just the beginning of, the end of a contract and moving forward. But the fact that the team is hosting the Grey Cup, Zach Collaros has 1 more year on his contract, it kind of feels like for this group that there has been quite a bit of continued over these 5 years, there is an element of last stand to it. But cannot wait for it. And I guess the other big star from Winnipeg this year has been the fans, particularly on the football side of things, to see what that stadium has been like, even after an 0-4 and 2-6 start. I mean, the amount of sellouts, the atmosphere at those games, the West final against the Riders was just absolute magic. It's been a lot of fun, and cannot wait for the upcoming season. But before we get to CFL, we got a hockey team that's knocking heads with the best in the National Hockey League. So we'll stay on top of the Jets beat for the time being.
Hey, that's going to be a fun second half of the season coming out of the break, man. Look, we did it. That little camera fall was a double into the corner, but we got out of the inning without allowing any runs. Okay, we regrouped, we took care of business, and I appreciate you being flexible.
Hey, dude, listen, the pleasure was all mine. Always love jumping on, and I know Rod touched on it just off the bat. One other thing that people around Winnipeg are real excited about right now is the Minnesota Vikings. Just by geography, you've got a lot of Viking fans here. And I mean, just like any Canadian spot, there'll be Chiefs fans, there'll be Pats fans. I mean, but there's still, I think, 4,000 or 5,000 season ticket holders for the Vikings north of the border here in Manitoba. You always see the longer lines. I was actually out there for the game. Not this weekend, but the past weekend, again, the Kirk Cousins homecoming game where Sammy Darts went for 5. And it is so funny, man. The Vikes have sort of been overlooked all season long. I mean, the odds for the NFC North at the beginning of the year were like Detroit plus 125, Packers plus 175, Chicago 3-1, and then the Vikings were 11-1. And I see your poll question right now on the YouTube channel asking about who will be the NFL Coach of the Year. And I have not looked at this yet, but last week, Dan Campbell was a -160 favorite. Kevin O'Connell was 3-1. And I will say I threw down on KOC at 3-1, considering now that these teams are tied and Dan Campbell once again had everyone scratching their heads with a almost inexcusable onside kick with 12 minutes left. I think some of the shine has gone on. And when you look at the body of work as to what was expected from Detroit and where people thought Minnesota was with a rookie quarterback that was then injured, I don't know how Kevin O'Connell isn't the betting favorite, to be honest, when we see the lines later on today. But it's going to be a fun run to the end of the season. Like, I begrudgingly give Philadelphia the respect they deserve as one of the top 4 teams in the NFC. But to me, the other 3 teams are all from the NFC North. The Packers are no joke. And one of the Lions or the Vikings are going to be starting the playoffs on the road, which is almost criminal considering the seasons that they've had. But wouldn't it be amazing if that final week of the regular season was Detroit playing Minnesota and the winner gets the 1 seed in the NFC? That's very much on the table right now, Double D.
Unbelievable. Yeah, that will be fantastic. Look, we're out of time, but can't wait. Happy holidays, my friend, and all the best to you and the guys there.
Right on. Shout out to all the RP Show listeners, to you, Rod, Clark, and everyone. All the best, and looking forward to a great 2025, and enjoy the rest of the show.